Simply put, YouTube is one of the most underutilized platforms on the web when it comes to digital marketing. Not only is YouTube the second biggest search engine on the entire internet, but it's also the best place to engage in video marketing, which just so happens to be an incredibly powerful tool for persuading audiences and generating clicks and conversions. Just think about the impact that video has had on your own life. Whenever we try to engage in a conversation with the TV on in the room, most of us can't help but stare at it. And when we start watching a random documentary at 1 o'clock in the morning, all too often we'll end up staying up all night to watch it right through to the end. With written content, we digital marketers are often fighting a losing battle to try and hold the attention of our audiences who are oversaturated with marketing messages, adverts and other media vying for their attention. With video, on the other hand, it's the viewer who struggles to look away. This gives you a fantastic opportunity to deliver a powerful message that will help you to build your brand and increase your following. What's more, YouTube offers many of the advantages of social media marketing. It gives you a way to build a following that you can market to in the future, and it allows you to leverage your connections through influencer marketing and other strategies. But unlike Facebook or Twitter, where there's a large element of luck involved, success on YouTube is all about having something interesting to say and a unique way to deliver that point. If you have something unique and interesting and you know how to package it, YouTube can deliver you almost guaranteed success. The only downside? Well, YouTube success involves a little more work than some of the other strategies you might have tried in the past. With this video series, then, you'll have your blueprint for success. As long as you're willing to execute the steps, you'll be able to build a huge following and influence them unlike any other strategy. Before we begin getting into the advanced techniques and the nuts and bolts of YouTube, we'll first take a moment to look at the basics of how YouTube works and what it has to offer. Most basically then, YouTube is a website that allows users to upload videos from their computers so that they'll be hosted online. They can then embed said videos on their websites or direct traffic and visitors to them without putting strain on their servers. Moreover though, YouTube also allows other users to search through those videos using cross searches to find content that they find interesting. Creators can improve the likelihood of their content being discovered by using smart titles and the right keywords, which will act as search terms. And when you find a YouTube user whose content you enjoy, you can subscribe to their channel and see their newest videos on the homepage whenever you visit the site. As with other social utilities, YouTube also allows users to create profiles, and it allows for direct messaging as well as commenting on videos. Active discussion on a video is a great way to increase engagement and to heighten visibility. These days, the social aspect of YouTube is tied to Google+, meaning that your YouTube profile will be the same as your Google+ profile. Another interesting aspect of YouTube videos that we're going to look into later is the advertising. Using YouTube ads, creators can earn money from their videos, and this is when a user watches through to the end or clicks on an ad, or they can promote their own channels via other users. While this provides a basic overview of YouTube, there are tons of tips, tricks and strategies you can use to get more out of it. In this series you'll learn all of these to ensure your views and subscribers truly soar and to help you really make a name for yourself and your business. If you run a business and you're interested in leveraging the power of YouTube to increase your brand awareness, your turnover or your profits, how would you go about it? Or perhaps a better question to ask is, how are other businesses and entrepreneurs already using YouTube? There are a few different strategies that you can use that other companies are already taking advantage of. Here are a few. The first one is building a personal brand. When you think of making money on YouTube, you might think of well-known YouTubers like Jenna Marbles, Mike Chung, or PewDiePie. There are countless examples of YouTube celebrities, and many of these are now making a lot of money by selling products to their legions of fans or by getting sponsors for their videos. For many people, making money from a YouTube channel represents living the dream. Not only are they able to make money talking about something they love, but they also achieve a level of fame that's rewarding without being invasive, and it can lead to some amazing opportunities. And even if these people aren't making money from products that they're selling through their videos, they might still be able to make money from adverts on their videos or by promoting a well-monetized website. Personal brands work well on YouTube because they allow audiences to get to know you. If you have something interesting or useful to say and you're charismatic in your delivery, then this will allow you to build up a large following, and that can ultimately lead to a lot of opportunities for your business and for you personally. Then there's content marketing. Content marketing essentially means filling your website with engaging content that will bring visitors to it. Generally, the phrase content marketing is used to describe blog posts and other written content. This has the benefit of allowing you to provide entertainment, information, and all-round value to your customers, while at the same time letting you communicate with your audience and position yourself as an authority in your niche or industry. This way, you can gain followers and fans, and future attempts at selling to them are more likely to be effective. But content marketing doesn't have to mean just articles. In fact, if you look at some of the biggest blogs and websites on the net, such as IGN, bodybuilding.com, The Verge, Engadget, and so on, you'll see that they upload regular content to their YouTube channel to go alongside their written articles and reviews. This helps to give them access to a much wider audience, provides options for their most loyal followers, and elevates the quality of their production above smaller websites. Videos on YouTube can also work simply as adverts. You can use these along with YouTube's advertising program to show them to followers of other brands, or you can simply upload them and then embed them in your content, your social media, and anywhere else where they might get seen. Having videos on YouTube creates the possibility as well for your content to go viral, which means that it will be shared and spread by other users and potentially get seen by hundreds, thousands, or even millions of users. One of the very best examples of this is the Old Spice advert. This advert was a hit on television, but it was really thanks to its presence on the web that it blew up in such an extreme manner and got seen by so many people. Another good example is the advert that Tim Ferriss made for his 4-Hour Body book, and which he credits with being responsible for much of that book's success. In other cases, videos created by businesses are designed specifically to go viral and to support social marketing campaigns. You can see examples of this when you look at any number of large brands on YouTube. Coca-Cola, Nike, and Red Bull being great examples. Companies can also use YouTube to provide their customers and clients with extra value. This way, they might use the platform to provide tutorials, interviews, and additional content, and thereby enhance the product or service they're offering. YouTube videos can also introduce and explain ideas and talk users through the role that products or services have. This can all be very helpful to the buyer, but at the same time it provides a new inroad that users can use to learn about the product. You might think of this like a white paper. Another common use that businesses have for YouTube videos is to use them as part of a larger marketing strategy. For instance, videos can be used in pop-ups on your website to try and encourage new subscribers to join your list, or they can be used in Facebook adverts. Likewise, they'll often be added to the top of landing pages selling ebooks, courses, and software. Landing pages are those long, narrow sites that tell you how one ebook can change your life and have lots of buy now buttons. A video at the top here will often be the same as the copy on the page, or it will use another script to try and engage visitors more effectively and convince them to buy. These videos can go a long way to increasing conversion rates and leads. In these cases, the YouTube video is not the focus of the marketing, but it has been used alongside other forms of marketing to enhance the effectiveness. So now you've seen how other businesses are using YouTube. The next question is, how are you going to use it, and what's your marketing plan going to be? There are a number of options here, and of course the precise nature of your marketing plan is going to depend on the type of business you're running, your goals, and more. At the same time, your resources, funds, and so on will also impact the way that you go about building your audience on YouTube and acquiring your views. But whatever the nature of your YouTube marketing plan, you'll need to start somewhere. And keep watching, and we'll look into some of the most common first steps that you'll want to take. Before you jump onto YouTube, it makes sense to develop a brand. You may already have a business and a website, and so your brand might be ready to go. In that case, great. If not, then spend some time developing a company name, a logo, and an identity that you can use to represent yourself online. This is very important because it will allow you to tie all of your online products together and to get more from every video you upload. In most cases, the objective of your videos will not be to make instant sales. As such, to get the most value from every video you create, you should have your logo prominently placed so that you're strengthening the connection and that awareness. Do this first, and then start setting up your channel and creating your videos. We've seen already how your YouTube videos can effectively be adverts, how they can be used alongside other forms of marketing, and how they can provide the content for your website. Hopefully, you already know which of these options is right for your business, but even if you don't, you need to ask yourself what the requirements of your video are going to be. In other words, are you going to be presenting the videos in front of the camera? Will you need to do lots of editing? Do you need to hire a green screen? Or alternatively, can you just record yourself speaking over a slideshow or PowerPoint presentation, a bit like this video? Identifying the requirements this way is very important because ultimately it'll tell you how long it's going to take you to create your videos and how expensive they're likely to be. The key here is to be realistic with your objectives. Don't set out to upload daily HD videos with slick editing and effects, as that's a full-time job. Set aside some budget then, both in terms of time and money, and then assess what you can complete with that time frame and budget. This is also important if you're going to be using YouTube advertising. How much can you afford to invest in your advertising, and how does that eat into your other costs? On the other hand, though, you also need to think about your goals and the time frame that you have available to complete them. Assuming you'll be uploading regular videos, the next question to ask yourself is what your tone and niche is going to be. How will you set yourself aside from the crowd? What will make your content unique and interesting? And how will it be different from everybody else's? Now do some market research and ask yourself, what's out there already? Is the niche or subject you're thinking of covering already overly catered for? Or, conversely, is there any market for it? Some of this you'll learn on the go, and later in this series we'll address how you can use your statistics to gradually improve your service and to increase your engagement and sales. Starting out though, it's still a good idea to know what area you're going to be focusing on and to know if there's a market there. Otherwise, you'll be forced to do a U-turn later on. If you're planning on using YouTube marketing to promote an existing business, then monetization won't be a problem. If you're new to digital marketing though, and you're hoping to make your living from YouTube, you need to start thinking about how you're going to make money from it and how you're going to scale up the business with time. Will you make money from ads, or will you aim for sponsors? How many subscribers and views will you need to make a solid income from each? Would it be better to develop a product first? The other part of your plan is how you're going to grow your channel and increase your viewers. It's useful to have a good strategy in mind here, so ask yourself how you're going to get your first 100 views, and then how you're going to grow that to your first 1,000 subscribers. Think about the types of topics that will get you lots of views quickly and which will be easy to rank for, meaning there's an obvious keyword to target. Then think about where you can promote your videos and how you can encourage your viewers to keep coming back. Again, it can be useful to do market research here and to look at your competition. How many other YouTube creators are making money from the platform? How much are they likely to be making, and what niche are they working in? How did they reach the point that they're at now? Note that there's nothing wrong with completely borrowing a business model that's working. If there's a popular YouTuber in your niche and they're making money from ebook sales, then pay close attention to what they're doing. Better yet, take a look at their old videos and see how they gradually built their audience to get where they are now. Once you have your business model and plan in mind, you should plot all this out on a sheet of paper so that you have a precise blueprint to follow. Identify how many videos you'll need to upload to reach your targets. Think about what the topics of each of those videos will be, and then plot your trajectory over time. The more detailed you can make your step-by-step process, the easier it will be to stay motivated and follow it, and, of course, the more likely it is to work. Note as well that when you create this business plan, you should use estimates and projections that aren't too optimistic. Make sure that your plan will work in the worst-case scenario. That way, you can only be pleased by the results that you end up getting. In the next video, I'll talk you through how to make professional-looking videos. You can have as detailed a plan as you like, but it won't be successful if you don't have amazing videos to back it up. This is really what success on YouTube is all about, delivering quality entertainment or information in a way that people will find engaging and that looks high quality. Making your videos look premium in terms of the production value is crucial right from the offset. Not only will this help make your videos much more successful and far more likely to get watched, shared and liked, but it will also help you boost the reputation of your brand. Think of these videos as ambassadors representing your business. Are you proud to associate yourself with them? Do they do a good job of showing what your company is capable of at its best? If not, then look into ways that you can start improving the production values. If you want to make a highly professional looking vlog or documentary style video, even an advert, then chances are that you're going to need a high quality HD camera, a good eye for composing your shots, great editing software, etc., etc. In other words, this is no mean feat and it's likely to involve a fair amount of skill and investment, and we'll get onto this in a moment. The good news, though, is that if you're making a video that you hope to use on a landing page or that you just want to explain what your business is all about, you don't actually have to set foot in front of the camera. In fact, even if you want to make some types of vlog, you don't necessarily need to step in front of the camera either. If you cast your mind back to the last time you were on a landing page that was trying to sell an ebook or a similar product, you may recall that it probably used a video that was essentially just a man or woman reading out a script explaining how they learned the one secret trick to great abs or something similar. Likewise, if you visited a small company's homepage, you may have seen a video that used whiteboard animation or perhaps a cartoon with a voiceover. Some informational videos on YouTube that just talk you through how to use a computer only show what's happening on the screen with no shot of the person narrating. Some entertainment vlogs are a combination of images, animations and people talking. A good example of the latter is Mr. Sunday Movies. Mr. Sunday Movies has an entertaining YouTube channel where he reviews films and talks about news, rumors, gossip and facts revolving around the film industry. His videos are highly popular, but you never actually see him. Only still images that he's found online that highlight the points he's making, often to comic effect. Likewise, another good example is the excellent ASAP Science. This channel explains everything from the effects that drugs have on the brain to the incredible communications abilities of plants. Throughout it all, you never see any footage from a camera, only cartoons and sketches that back up and illustrate the points being made. So in other words, if you're unconfident about how you're going to go about creating your video, you don't have to make anything ambitious. Just record the audio and then find something else that you can use to hold your viewers' attentions. Your options then are podcast video. And some videos on YouTube are nothing more than podcasts with a single still image showing. This isn't particularly effective and you'll struggle to make such a video go viral. But if you're genuinely hilarious or fascinating and the title is gripping enough, you can still generate something of a following. Better still is to use a slideshow of images that you can use to illustrate your points, either for additional explanation or for comic relief. Either way, this is actually one of the easiest types of content to make because you likely already have all the necessary software on your computer. If you have PowerPoint, then all you need to do is save your slideshow as an MPEG and record some audio over the top and you have a video ready-made. Whiteboard animations feature people drawing on a whiteboard in an animated form while you narrate. A similar option is to have some kind of animation with simple illustrations. This is surprisingly easy to make. You just need the right software or the right outsourcing company. Look on Fiverr and you'll find there are plenty of gigs available from users ready to make whiteboard animations for simple scripts for just $5. Then there's ScreenCap. Screen capture software like Camtasia allows you to record whatever you're seeing on your computer screen, which is perfect if you want to make a video taking people through the process of installing X software or making their own Android app. This is also very useful if you're selling software or promoting your website and want to demo it on the screen. While you can be surprisingly successful without ever going near a camera, this still limits you somewhat in terms of what you can do. If you want to make a moving Kickstarter video, an advert like Tim Ferriss's, or a vlog series where you can promote your personal brand, you're likely to want to create videos with an HD camera featuring real people. But how do you go about developing the skills and acquiring the tools necessary to do that? You shouldn't really let your camera hold you back from YouTube success in this day and age. While you might not have the best quality camera in the world, your video would generally be acceptable as long as it's 1080 pixels, that's HD. Going as high as 4K is optional, but a lot of devices still can't display that quality, so it isn't really necessary. Even most phones these days are capable of HD video, though they tend to struggle with focus. Test your camera's phone a bit, and if it works, consider that a viable choice. One thing that does matter though is your sound recording equipment. A common mistake is to record in a large spacious room with poor acoustics and not think that it matters. Poor sound quality though can be very off-putting for viewers, and it's a telltale sign of an amateur production. Avoid this pitfall by having a camera to which you can plug an external microphone. And if you don't have that luxury, well, just make sure the device is close and that you're in a room without echoes and without background noise. Other hardware can also help. For instance, multiple cameras can let you video the action from various angles, giving you more options during editing. Likewise, light boxes and infinite white backgrounds both also make a big difference to the level of professionalism on show. Note though that you can mimic the latter two options with a desk lamp angled in the correct direction and a white bed sheet stretched across a wall in the background. Another option is to hire a white room, and sometimes you can do this at your local library or university. Take a look on Google. From here, it's just a matter of increasing the brightness in your post-production. The first step to creating a great video comes even before the filming. Your pre-production stage is what happens before you ever pick up a camera, and it's what will define the video that you're going to make. The most important things that go at this point are your script and your storyboard. The script, of course, is what you're going to say, while your storyboard will tell where each shot will go, when you're going to switch camera angles, and so on. It may be that you want to create a purposely rough and ready effect, and in that case, you may not need the storyboard, and it might suffice to just point the camera and start filming. In most situations, though, it can help a great deal to know what you're going to film ahead of time, particularly if that film is going to feature inserts and so on. By planning ahead of time, you can make it look highly professional. The script is just as important. This is what you're going to say, and it's the job of the script to ensure that your video is engaging, and normally this means having a narrative thread woven through it, and to ensure that it's persuasive, if that's your objective. When writing your script, think about the way you naturally talk and the points where you'll need to pause. Use shorter sentences, and when reading it, try to pause for breath in between each one. Next comes filming. Here your aim is to make yourself or whoever is starring in the video look professional, while at the same time keeping the interest and the energy high. It's a good rule of thumb to film more content than you need. In the days of digital cameras, there's no need to worry about wasting film, but the more footage you capture at this point, the easier it will be to edit something interesting together later. As mentioned, you want to pause a lot between your sentences to ensure you're able to catch your breath and to avoid stuttering and stammering. At the same time, you want to pause in general a lot and have quiet moments at the start and end of each take. Again, you'll be glad you did when it comes to editing. In terms of yourself, or the presenter, you should ensure that you look well turned out and professional. The trick here is to look smart without looking like you're trying too hard. A common mistake is to turn up to filming in a suit even though the video is filmed in your living room. Few things scream amateur quite like that. Instead, aim to look smart and attractive without trying too hard. Think trendy and think crisp. Doing your hair well or wearing the right makeup if you're a woman can also make a big difference. Another big consideration that often gets forgotten at this point is the lighting. The worst case scenario here is that your lighting is too bright or shining into the camera, creating blur or glare. Think about the way that the light is casting shadows. Think about how many light sources you have, and think about where you should be standing in relation to natural light sources. This might sound like obvious stuff, but you'd be very surprised how many people forget it at the expense of their videos. The ideal situation here is that you want to create what's known as Rembrandt lighting, and this means the lighting is on your left and right and lighting just half your face. This creates the most dynamic look and is often the most flattering. It's so cool because this is the type of lighting Rembrandt used in his paintings, and that guy knew a thing or two about being artistic. Think about the composition of the shot. Is it clear that you're the subject? And is the shot free from other distractions? At the same time, is the shot interesting? Could you change it in some way to make it more artistic or engaging? Creating a sense of depth is often recommended for scenery shots, and that means ensuring that you have elements in the foreground, the middle and the background. If you want to create the effect of being just a talking head, then you might want to get the camera in close and use macros to blur out the background while bringing the foreground into focus. This looks very slick and is a great choice if you want an atmospheric background without letting it distract you from what you're saying. Use this strategy when filming in the park or with a city backdrop. And speaking of backdrops, this is also a highly important consideration. When making your video, it's crucial to think of where it will be filmed and how you can make this look fitting in the context of the video. Get this wrong and it can completely undermine an otherwise well-crafted video. If you have an office, then this is a good choice that will give you a professional setting. Alternatively, though, you might choose somewhere in your home to use. Take a bit of time to prepare a corner of a room and to ensure that it looks the part. Now that might mean removing some items or choosing a few things to be in the background. A great way to make your video look more professional is to insert your logo into the background in some way, and you can do this by putting it on the screen of a television or by printing it onto a poster and hanging it. Standing behind a desk can also be a good strategy, as can finding a white wall. You can even make a collage in the corner of the room of related magazine covers or newspaper clippings. If you look at some other vloggers, you'll find inspiration. Funny how you often don't notice a good background until you start looking, isn't it? And note that this is your objective as well. If your backdrop is good, then it should fade away so it doesn't get seen. A backdrop that draws attention to itself is failing in its purpose. The exception is if you're purposely going for a more intimate or a rough and ready vibe, in which case filming in your house is just fine. Then set up your camera or cameras, hit record and go. Now onto the post-production and the editing process. And this is the part where you take all of your different footage and combine it and cut it down in order to create something that looks slick, that has great energy all the way throughout, and that flows naturally without any jarring jumps or cuts. This is the objective of your editing, to put all the footage together in a way that flows naturally and that never appears to lose the thread. To accomplish this task, you'll need to use editing software, and here you have a number of options. Option 1 is to use the premium and very well regarded Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. And both of these pieces of software are available as part of the Adobe Creative Suite, and you can find out more here at adobe.com. While the former is used for cutting your footage and sticking it back together, the latter is what you use to add the fanciest effects that will really make it stand out. The software is excellent, but unfortunately it's very expensive. Alternatively, another very well regarded piece of software is Sony Vegas Pro. Again, this is a highly expensive option though, and you can read about it here at sonycreativesoftware.com. For something cheaper, you have two free options. One is the editor that's built into YouTube, and you can access it by signing into your YouTube account and going to youtube.com/editor. And this runs right inside your browser, meaning there's no need for installation. And finally, there's Windows Movie Maker. And this comes bundled with some editions of Microsoft Windows, or you can download it from the Microsoft website. Now, obviously, both of these choices lack the more advanced features that are present in premium software, but they're suitable for basic editing and for putting something together. When you start the process, keep in mind that you want to maintain a high energy. This means you want to avoid lingering shots or long cuts, and instead you want to keep the camera moving. If you have an action shot of someone punching someone else and then turning to run, try to cut as much of the footage away as you can while still showing what's happening. You might find that you don't even need to show the impact. Our brain fills in the blanks, and the result will be a shot that looks far more dynamic. You can also maintain higher energy by switching between camera angles. Often in professionally filmed videos, talking heads will be shown from multiple angles so that it feels like there's movement in the shot. This also gives the illusion of higher production values because it suggests you have more than one person in the room filming. When switching between shots or between angles though, make sure that you don't lose any frames. This means the position you start on should be the exact same as the position you end on. Otherwise, your subject will look like they suddenly teleported or started moving robotically, and this can be jarring and take you right out of the moment. For this same reason, you shouldn't switch between angles that are too similar to each other, and you shouldn't cut two of the same shots together without some kind of transition in between. The exception to the rule is again for more homemade looking videos. Here it's okay to transition between two similar shots or to skip frames, as long as it's done in such a way that's stylistic, or perhaps used for comic effect. This is called a jump cut, and it's a legitimate technique when used correctly. Otherwise, you want to use transitions to change between two similar shots. These basically represent time passing or the subject changing and usually involve fancy animation. Note that this is your one opportunity to use transition animations. If you use them all over the place, it can again look very amateurish, as though you got overexcited with your new editing software. And, it's the equivalent of using a bunch of different typefaces when you get a new word processor. A few additional touches can also make your video look more professional in post-production. One is to add your logo in one of the corners of the screen. This has the added benefit of reinforcing that connection and helping to create more brand visibility. Similarly, you might also want to add a video opener, which is a short animation that goes, unsurprisingly, at the very start of your video or after a brief introduction. This should be consistent across your videos and works almost like the opening credits. Note that YouTube now offers the ability to automatically add openers to your videos even if you haven't created them in your editing software. Music is additionally a great asset, but as long as you keep it relatively quiet. You need to be careful to ensure that your music is something you have the rights to, and that means it should either be made for you or should be acquired on a royalty-free website. In the best case scenario, you'd know someone in a band who would be grateful for the exposure. Failing that though, you can just outsource the process, and there are a number of gigs on Fiverr where you can get this kind of work. Make sure you get the sound levels right when you use music though. Good music can really elevate your content, but if you get it wrong, it can end up just being distracting. Lastly, consider adding some bottom thirds. This is an industry term for the captions that appear on the bottom portion of your screen, normally to introduce segments or to explain what's coming up. This can help to narrate your content while giving it a more professional vibe, but make sure that you look into using a custom font for this. So now you know how to make videos that look professional with high quality production values. This alone will be enough to help promote your brand and potentially generate sales. But the problem with a well-made video is that it says nothing about the content or the popularity. If you want your video to get clicked on, and you want to generate likes, which you do because this increases its exposure, then you need to ensure your videos are created in a way that's engaging and that they have the right titles and the right message. If you've ever done any content marketing revolving around written articles and posts, then you'll likely know just how important the right title is for its success. And a video will live or die by its title because often this is the only thing a potential viewer has to go on when deciding whether or not to watch the content. The title, of course, is going to be tied very closely to the subject matter, and this is what you need to work hard to get right if you're vlogging or creating a video series. The problem is there's a lot of content on YouTube these days. Viewers have seen thousands of videos on how to lose weight or how to make money from home. Likewise, they've seen countless comedy sketches and cat videos. If you want to A, get watched, and B, get liked and subscribed, you need to offer something new and interesting. Try to think of titles in your niche that no one else has thought of. Titles that can change people's lives or that are just plain fascinating. This might mean combining two different topics, or it might mean coming up with something from a completely different perspective. Either way, talking about using cardio acceleration to burn 20% more fat is far more likely to do well than the aforementioned how to lose weight video. The distinction is that it's a new topic and it offers real value and interest. This is one reason that Vsauce has done so extremely well as a channel. On this channel, the host talks about things that are truly mind-blowing and answers the kinds of questions that many of us have always had but never thought to ask, like why the moon looks bigger in the sky sometimes. Another great example is Elliot Hulse's Strength Camp. This is a strength training channel, but rather than just talking about building muscle, Elliot often talks about broader subjects that appeal to a much wider audience. In his Yo Elliot series, for example, he asks questions about being more alpha male or exuding confidence. These are things that appeal to the same target audience, but that go a little deeper and offer something a little different. Try to think like that with your own videos. Note that alongside your video title, the only other tool you have for grabbing attention right at the start is your thumbnail. These can be very effective in bringing in more views, so make sure that your thumbnails are custom made and that they encapsulate what's interesting and unique about your video in a visually pleasing way. If you can do all of these things well, then you'll get likes, subscribers and shares. There are a few more things that can help too. One is to simply ask for likes. Say at the end of your video that you'd appreciate likes, shares and subscribes, and you'll find this can be surprisingly effective. Even a little pop-up reminding people to subscribe can be useful, as can running competitions and challenges revolving around getting more likes. For instance, why not create a part 1 video and say you'll upload the second part only after you reach 1,000 likes. It sounds like a trick, but it can be surprisingly effective. Another way to get likes is to make sure that you are likable and charismatic. Now, this part can be a little harder than it sounds. If you're not born charismatic, then how do you get people to think you are? There are some things that you can do. Smiling more is a good tip, as is gesticulating more. Gesticulating correlates with enthusiasm, and if it looks like you believe in what you're saying, it'll make you instantly more likable while boosting your charisma. At the same time, you should also avoid trying to force sales or engaging in behaviors that are off-putting. Don't be negative and don't be dismissive. Talk as you would talk to a friend. Speak frankly and openly. Engage the audience with rhetorical questions and the occasional joke, and ask people to get in touch. At the same time, be honest with yourself. Sad though it is, some of us just aren't charismatic or likable. If you didn't have many friends at school, and you don't have many now, if you've never been much of a leader, well, then public speaking probably isn't going to be your strong suit. And that's fine. Just create videos where you don't have to be in front of the camera, or hire someone else to stand in for you. Play to your strengths and don't let your ego get in the way of smart business. Finally, make sure you offer your viewers something useful that they can act on. If you do that, they'll be grateful to you and feel compelled to help you out in return with a like. Business is about providing value, and that is just as true for video marketing as it is for everything else. When you start uploading your YouTube videos, you'll automatically gain your own YouTube channel. This is a central URL where your fans will be able to see your new content and learn all about you. By default, it's a pretty blank page, but of course it's important to optimize this page if you want to bring in as much traffic as possible and to gain lots of subscribers. The first step to doing this is to set up your profile picture and cover image. Now, unfortunately, your profile picture is somewhat limited, tied as it is to your Google Plus account. While you don't strictly have to adhere to the rule, Google encourages users to use pictures of themselves here, and you'll probably want to play nice with Google so that you can get the most out of Google Plus, Analytics, AdSense, and so on. Where you can get a bit more creative, though, is with your cover image. This works just as it does on Facebook and gives you a large image at the top of the page. This is a great place to put your logo or another image that will help to reinforce your brand, furthering the professionalism and synergy across all of your internet activities. Another important section of your channel is your About tab. Here you can write a bit about your channel and what makes it unique. This should be persuasive and explain your mission statement as well as getting people excited for your channel. You can also try to highlight some of your most popular videos and to describe things that you have coming soon. Insert a few keywords, and this will also help your channel get found by YouTube and by Google. Another tool you have on your channel is the ability to make playlists. This is a good way to curate your videos once you start growing. If you have 1,000 videos, then no one is going to know where to start, so showing a few playlists on your front page will give people useful categories to sift through. Interestingly, YouTube now allows you to create a channel trailer where you can show off everything unique and interesting about your channel in a brief advert-style clip. This can be a great way to make your video stand out as something unique and interesting. And it can be very effective at getting people who are on the fence to subscribe. Remember, high energy. YouTube also allows you to link to your website as well as to your social media channels. Linking your Twitter and Facebook is a great way to synergize your efforts and to get more people to follow you on those accounts. While adding your website will give you the ability to link out to your site on your labels and comments, a very useful tool. Finally, there's featured channels. And featured channels is a spot where you can place other channels you like and want to associate with. This is a good way to tell YouTube a little about what your channel is all about. And when you do this, it can also put you in good stead with those vloggers. Handy if you want to work with them in future. In the next video, I'll talk you through how you optimize your video with SEO keywords. As well as optimizing your channel, you can also optimize your videos themselves in a number of ways which will help them to get discovered more easily. The first thing to do here is to ensure that your videos are HD and that they have thumbnails. Try to avoid shaky cameras or stolen content. Doing this will ensure that your videos are seen as high quality by YouTube, and that in turn will mean they get promoted more readily. At the same time though, you should also think a little about SEO. SEO is search engine optimization, and essentially it means designing web content in a way that makes it Google friendly, or in this case, YouTube friendly. The main way most people find new content on YouTube is by searching for it. And in this sense, YouTube is very similar to Google. In fact, the search engine is built by Google and is actually the second biggest search tool on the net in terms of the number of queries it receives. So what can you do as a user to ensure your content is easily discoverable through YouTube? Well, the first thing to do is to try and pick a topic that people are interested in and likely to be searching for. From there, you should look up the topic and see what's already present on YouTube and what you'll be competing with. The perfect scenario is that you find a subject matter that people are interested in, but which hasn't been properly covered on YouTube yet. If you can find that, then anything you upload will automatically succeed. More likely though, you'll find you have a few competitors. In this case, your success will be all about the keywords that you choose, which you enter when you upload your video. Here you want to use related words which will help tell Google precisely what your video is about. So if the video is about learning scales on the piano, your keywords might be things like scales, piano, keyboard, electric keyboard, learning, learning music, music theory. This way you'll reinforce the subject of your video while at the same time helping to create a connection between your video and other successful ones in your niche. This will help your videos appear as suggested content. Taking a look at the keywords and titles used by the top videos on your subject is also a good strategy. Note this also works on Google, and good video content can sometimes come up on Google as the top response to a search instead of a web page. Finally, you have one last place that you can encourage Google and YouTube to index your video, and that's your description. This is where you tell people all about your video and where you'll add external links and so on. This is a good place to insert more keywords, and generally you should aim to put lots of content here to create lots of long tail keywords, and these are wordy search terms that sound natural. Even if you just write the first part of your script here, the tip is to make sure you indeed write something. Meanwhile, the number of likes, comments and shares your video gets will also help to increase its visibility, especially at the start of its life. Again, think value and make sure you ask people to help out. Another important factor is how long people watch your videos for. In other words, if people leave after the first 2 seconds, this sends a signal to YouTube that the video probably isn't very good. To make sure this doesn't happen to you, use shorter videos some of the time, as this will guarantee faster watching. Another thing which can help with your optimization and which can really get your video to take off is to generate lively discussion on your videos. While they can sometimes be annoying, you really want to encourage people to leave comments in your comments section. One way to do this is simply to ensure that your videos ask interesting questions and raise interesting points that invite discussion. And this might even mean being purposely controversial. You can also ask questions at the end of your videos and generally make yourself appear approachable. Similarly, you should stay active in your own comment section. Set up your account to email you when someone leaves a new comment and set out to answer all of these at the start of the day. This is also the way to get fans on YouTube, and a few fans can be immensely valuable to any campaign. And don't forget, YouTube and Google Plus are now linked. This means that if you spend some time building your Google Plus circles, they will all get to see your new videos when you upload them. A great way to do this is to be active in the discussions in communities, to take part in Hangouts, and to +1 other people. You'll normally get a reciprocal +1. Have a G+ button on your blog or website, if you have one, and this will help you to gain more people in your circles. What this also means is that if you share your YouTube video on a Google Plus community and it gets commented on, that comment will show up on your YouTube video on YouTube as well. This is a great way to get some initial momentum on your video, so try to find communities to join in your niche and then make videos that you think they'll enjoy. Just don't post too often or you're likely to get banned. In the next video, we'll talk about advertising on YouTube. Want to jumpstart your YouTube career? Or want to skip the whole process of building subscribers and get right to the part where you get the views and the cash? You can do that with advertising on YouTube. Basically, YouTube advertising simply allows you to put your videos at the start and break points on other people's videos. This way, you can ensure that your content is seen by lots of people in a place where it will be successful. Your video still needs to be good, of course, so a lot of what we've discussed still applies here. At the same time, though, there are a few things to consider when using your videos in this context. So, what are YouTube ads for? We've already talked about how highly successful video marketing can be and why it's so compelling and engaging. This is really what makes YouTube videos so powerful. At the same time, though, it's important to remember that YouTube ads are also interruptive in nature. This is unlike advertising on Google, for instance, where users are actively looking for content. Statistics suggest that click-through rates on YouTube videos are around 0.01%, which isn't high, and 80% of users have never bought a product because of a YouTube ad. So YouTube ads are not the best place to try and get direct sales. Instead, you may want to consider Facebook video ads. What YouTube ads are great for, though, is increasing brand awareness and interest, and for promoting your own YouTube channel. Keep this in mind when planning your campaign. Here's how it works. YouTube advertising works in the same way as Google ads or Facebook ads. That is to say, it's PPC, pay-per-click, and you only get charged when someone clicks or when they watch through to the end. YouTube advertising also allows you to target your viewers by demographic. For instance, you can only show adverts to people at a certain age in a certain location with a specific interest. Your ads will be shown on mobile devices, and you'll get lots of useful data to see the performance of your ads. It's thought that in 2013, advertisers spent about $5 billion on YouTube ads, which suggests that it can be highly effective when used correctly. Essentially, this form of advertising is the closest there is to TV advertising, and you should view it as such. Bear this in mind, and this can be a very profitable experiment. At this point, there's plenty for you to be getting on with. But let's just take a look at a few more strategies that you can use to start maximizing the effectiveness of your YouTube campaigns. And the first thing is to use your analytics. YouTube Analytics allows you to see which of your videos are performing best, where your main viewers are coming from, and how much of your videos are getting watched. This data can be highly valuable when it comes to helping your channel to thrive. It shows which videos you should be making more of and which ones aren't working. What's more, it can guide you on the perfect length for your videos, and it can help you learn what your audience really is. All aspects of internet marketing are much more effective when you stay tuned to your analytics, and YouTube is no different. We mentioned earlier how having featured videos could help you start a positive relationship with other YouTubers. And this is a very useful strategy. Influencer marketing is the process of reaching out to the biggest influence and thought leaders in your niche and then getting them to work with you. For instance, you might find someone else who vlogs on the same subject that you do. You can then have them conduct an interview with you, or vice versa. Alternatively, you might make videos that complement one another or give each other a shout out. This way, you can exchange some of your followers with each other, and this is a mutually beneficial technique. Don't be afraid to contact people. The great thing about YouTube videos is that they're so easy to embed and share. If you have a website, then you definitely should be embedding your videos right there, and you can even use widgets that will show your most recent videos in the right-hand column every time you upload them. Likewise, you should be sharing your videos to forums, to Reddit, to social media, and more. Get out there and you'll increase your views and exposure. As mentioned, once you've linked your website to your Google Plus account, you'll then be able to include links to your site on the labels and annotations that appear on your videos. This is a great trick because it means you can direct traffic to your site directly from your videos and give a strong call to action. And speaking of calls to action, make sure you include them at the ends of your videos. This is the point where you tell people why they should buy your products, why they should sign up to your mailing list, or why they should visit your site, and then compel them to do so. Make sure you use these, and if you're trying to sell a product, try to include some time pressure or scarcity that will encourage your viewers to act more impulsively. And finally, you should post as regularly as you can. With any form of marketing, consistency is highly important. This is no different with YouTube marketing. So make sure you're uploading your videos regularly and that you have a constant stream of new content for your visitors. As well as being encouraging and giving people reason to keep coming back, more videos also means more content to discover and more inroads to your brand and your channel. Don't slack. In the final video of the series, I'll go through some YouTube do's and don'ts. Well done for making it this far. We've covered a huge amount of material here, and you might be finding it a little hard to organize it all. In this last video then, we'll recap some of the main points and we'll provide some extra tips. As long as you follow these, you should find your YouTube efforts pay off. Okay, first tip. Do recognize that the power of YouTube marketing is in its ability to persuade and to sell an idea. Do use a narrative structure, even for professional or informational videos. It will help make them much more engaging. Don't have the light source behind you. Don't use jump cuts unless it's intentional for comic purposes. Do think hard about what you can genuinely achieve and in what time frame. Have a good think as well about what type of video will best suit your goals. Do consider making videos without your camera. Don't look overdressed. Don't go in front of the camera if it's not something you naturally excel at. Don't let your ego get in the way. Do invest in high-quality video editing software like Adobe Premiere. Don't have your music too loud or fail to take sound quality into account generally. Don't have videos with generic or dull subjects and titles. Do use SEO in your videos and optimize them with thumbnails and keywords. Do take the time to fill out all the fields in your YouTube channel. Do find other YouTubers to work with. Do embed your YouTube videos on social media and elsewhere. Do have calls to action at the end and consider asking people to share, like and subscribe. Don't let your YouTube channel become a ghost town. Post regularly. Don't use too many transition effects, it just looks amateurish. Don't be negative or salesy in your videos, you'll just get a lot of dislikes. Don't make your videos too long. Do pay attention to your stats, and do record in HD. There are many more tips we could provide, but those are the basics and they should be enough to help keep you going for now. The rest you'll learn along the way. Good luck and don't give up.